The pediatrician cleared her at 9 a.m. The Leonberger refused to believe it. Petra Gunn had been a kindergarten teacher for 14 years. She knew children's behavior the way people who spend their days in rooms full of 5-year-olds learn to know it, through pattern and repetition, through the specific vocabulary of a child who is telling you something they cannot yet say. What she did not know was the specific vocabulary of a 130-pound Leonberger named Bruno, who had been with her daughter Elif since before Elif could form words. She thought Bruno was seeking attention. She thought Bruno was bored. She thought Bruno was doing the slightly embarrassing large dog thing where he inserted himself into moments that didn't require him. She was wrong about Bruno. She had been wrong about him for 3 days before she understood it. Elif was 2 years and 4 months old. She had had an ear infection. 2 weeks prior, caught early, treated with a full course of amoxicillin. Resolved. The pediatrician, Dr. Lynette Corso, had confirmed resolution at the follow-up appointment on a Tuesday morning. No redness, no fluid, no tenderness on palpation. She was healthy. Petra drove home from that appointment with Elif asleep in the back seat and Bruno's massive head resting on the center console, and she felt the specific relief of a cleared appointment. Bruno started the ear behavior that afternoon. He would approach Elif where she was playing, lower his head slowly to her level, and press his nose directly to her right ear. Not pawing, not licking, pressing. Slow exhalation against the ear canal. Elif would push him away and he would step back and circle and return. He did it 4 times in 3 hours. Petra redirected him each time. She assumed it was an attention behavior, a dog who had learned that touching the child produced interaction from the adult. She had read about this. She told her husband Ferris that evening. "He's using Elif to get our attention." Ferris agreed. It made complete sense. If you stay for stories about what animals know before we do, you are in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. On Wednesday morning, Bruno climbed onto the couch next to Elif, which he was not permitted to do, and pressed his nose against her right ear and held it there for a count that Petra measured at nearly 30 seconds before she removed him. On Wednesday afternoon, Elif said the word ow once, pointing generally at the side of her head, and then went back to her blocks. Petra watched her for the next hour. No fever, no crying, no pulling at her ear. She called Dr. Corso's office and left a message. At 7 p.m., Elif had a fever of 101.4. Petra gave her children's acetaminophen and put her to bed. Bruno lay outside Elif's door and did not move all night. Thursday morning, Elif's fever was 103.1. The area behind her right ear was visibly swollen. The skin there was red and warm to the touch. Petra was not a medical professional, but she recognized tenderness that went beyond an ear canal, and Elif's cry when she touched it told her everything the thermometer hadn't said yet. She did not call the pediatrician. She went directly to the Children's Hospital Emergency Department. Has your dog ever focused on a specific part of your child's body in a way that felt purposeful? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Dr. Amara Sese, pediatric ENT specialist, examined Elif within 2 hours of their arrival and told them what Bruno had been trying to communicate for 72 hours. The ear infection had not fully cleared. The bacteria had migrated into the mastoid bone behind the ear. Mastoiditis. Rare, serious, the kind of diagnosis that, caught within a certain window, is treated with IV antibiotics and monitoring. Caught outside that window, it requires surgery. They were inside the window. Barely, she said that plainly. The swelling they were seeing was the outer expression of a process that had been building for days. The antibiotic had suppressed but not eliminated the original infection. It had continued silently in the bone, while Elif showed no symptoms visible to a pediatrician's standard assessment. Dr. Sese asked when they first noticed the swelling. Petra said Thursday morning. Then she thought about Bruno's nose against Elif's right ear. Monday afternoon. Bruno had started on Monday afternoon, the day of the cleared appointment, the day Petra had driven home feeling relieved. She told the doctor this. Dr. Sese, who had been practicing medicine for 18 years, and who did not, as a rule, speak about animal behavior during clinical consultations, looked at her and said quietly, "Dogs smell bacterial activity in tissue, specifically the volatile compounds produced by bacterial metabolic processes. The infection was silent to your instruments because it was in the bone, not the canal. It was not silent to him. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. Subscribe, so you never miss the next one." Elif was discharged after 4 days. The mastoiditis resolved fully with IV antibiotics. She came home on a Sunday, slightly pale, with a small bandage behind her ear where a drain had been placed and removed. And Bruno met her at the door, the way he always met her, enormous and slow and entirely focused on her face. He did not go to her ear. He walked beside her to the living room and lay down on the rug and put his chin on his front paws and watched her. Petra sat on the floor next to him. She put her hand on his back. Bruno exhaled once, long and slow. 3 days later, at the follow-up appointment, Dr. Corso asked if Petra had noticed any symptoms before the fever. Petra said, "Our dog noticed." She said it simply. She didn't explain further. She had spent 4 days in a hospital already understanding that the explanation did not fit into the categories anyone in that building had been trained to use.